Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of the Paper Crane Yarns Knitting Podcast. My name is Ashley and I am the dyer behind Paper Crane Yarns. I'm also coming to you from my yarn store, also called Paper Crane Yarns, located in central Alabama. You can also find me on Instagram and Ravelry, as well as my own website as Paper Crane Yarns. So hi, welcome to another episode. It's been 2 weeks since I last recorded, and I'm really glad I was able to sit down and take the time to podcast this morning while my shop is open. I've already had to restart a few times with people coming in, which has been great, of course, but I keep changing my setup, and now I was going to try something new, and anyway, I'm back in front of the rainbow yarn wall here. So, today is Friday, April 15th, I want to say. Normally I record on Saturdays, and so I'm glad I carved out the time to do this week instead of waiting an entire month to do another episode, because next weekend I am vending at the Great Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair in Townsend, Tennessee. That's April 22nd and 23rd of 2022, and I'm so looking forward to it. This will be my first time vending at a fiber fair, so I'm full of excitement. And oh, my other announcement. So if I'm not going to see you there, perhaps I will see you at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival in May. I am taking a very spur of the moment trip to Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'm not a vendor. You have to apply basically a year in advance, and so I'm hoping to apply this summer for next spring, but anyway, I am attending as a guest, so I can't wait. I'm hoping it's going to be as epic as Rhinebeck last year, and I have a feeling it will be. So if you're going to Maryland Sheep and Wool in May, I think it's the 6th and the 7th, or the 7th and the 8th. I'm going on Saturday only. So if you're going to be there, let me know, and maybe we can say hello and meet up. But I will be there all day, and we are driving again, just like we did to Rhinebeck. And yes, I am 6 months pregnant, and so if you're concerned about my long car drive, as I have had others voice, we will make as many stops as needed. We won't be in the car continuously. It's going to be okay. But anyway, yeah, so Maryland Sheep and Wool. Again, this was like a surprise, spur of the moment kind of decision, and I'm just so excited. I'm trying to be more excited for the Great Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair, where I'll be vending, but I have to say, like, attending a fiber festival as a guest is really special, because you get to walk around and partake and see what all the other crafters are bringing. Yeah. So anyway, enough of that. So let's talk about what I have been working on these past couple of weeks, and it's been a lot. So I have 3 finished objects, and I do have some works in progress, but not too much to show that I haven't completed. So let's start with my powder wrap by CasaPinka. I am so in love with this beautiful shawl. Just like I was saying in my last episode with my Nights Who Say Knit, my As You Wish MKAL, which we will get to next. I am absolutely in love and enthralled by this shawl, and I might just insert some footage here to show you the full shawl so I don't have to take it off. But I'm so in love with it. So let's talk about the details of this project. So the yarn is the Julie Asselin nurtured yarn, which is a woolen spun. It's dyed in the fleece, and it is the leaf pile colorway, which is an India Untangled exclusive. I was getting worried that I was going to be playing yarn chicken, so I did pick this yarn up at India Untangled last year, and again, I saw, so they actually there was a booth sample of this exact pattern in this colorway, and I knew I wanted it. I needed it. So I purchased the yarn. It called for 7 skeins of the nurtured yarn. That's the yarn used in the pattern. And so I bought 7 skeins. I got to the end of this project and I ran out of yarn while I was doing the bind off. So I was a little bit frightened. When I was binding off, I started it as the Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Is that what it's called? The Jenny's one that I know Andrea Mowry calls for in some of her patterns. So I was doing that one because the pattern suggested that you use a stretchy bind off. So I did about half of the shawl with that, and it got to the point where I was really running out of yarn. So I did not want to rip back that bind off that I'd already done because, again, it was already halfway through. So I thought, I'm going to just switch to just a regular bind off and just try to do it loosely so that I'm not running out of yarn and that it's not tight and pulling on one end of the shawl versus the other where I had the extra, you know, the stitches where you do the stretchy bind off. But I was still running out, and I mean, I have 0 left, no scraps, nothing. So what I did was, because I hadn't snipped the tails in the project from where I had joined each skein, I cut those long tails and used those to bind off. So I tried to spit splice the yarn. I figured the way that this one is, I thought it would spit splice well, but I've never been able to successfully do that, so that didn't work. So I ended up very meticulously tying little knots with the yarn, and at the end of the day, I got it bound off. It feels very sturdy. I did already block it, so it's been pinned and stretched, and yeah, I'm not worried. I think it's okay. If something ever did happen, I think what I could probably do is take out the full binding and redo it without the stretchy bind off technique. But again, I'm not worried about it. It feels really sturdy and I think it's all right. So again, I love this yarn so much. I love this project. I highly recommend, I mean, I want to work with this yarn more. I love this colorway specifically. I almost want to try to get some more because I did see that they do still have some skeins available on their website. But because I'm going to Maryland Sheep and Wool, I'm not going to. If down the line I can still find it, I might pick up some more. But this colorway is gorgeous. Again, it's dyed in the fleece, so it's spun. So it manages to get all of these gorgeous color variations that might be blown out a little bit, but I think you can see it pretty well in my previous videos. It's just gorgeous, and the stitches in this pattern are amazing. So you do a handful of repeats of the initial sections, so you end up with a couple of these sections here with this sort of little honeycomb pattern. You've got what almost looks like brioche, but it's not. It is a ribbing kind of pattern here, and then there's also a garter section. So you repeat those sections a few times, and then you go into this absolutely gorgeous cable section, which I loved doing, and I knit that without a cable needle, so that was great because I don't own a cable needle, and I didn't want to get one. I wanted to just finish the project and not wait for it. So you can absolutely do this project without a cable needle. I love these cables. I absolutely love the way that this looks blocked out. It is gorgeous. So hopefully I inserted some good footage where you can see the full shawl, but I absolutely recommend this pattern. So my next finished object is the As You Wish Mystery Knit Along by Mary Annarella of Lrical Knits, and that was a knit along that ran through, I want to say February and March. I think it started February, ended in March. That sounds correct. And I finished it. So my last episode, I was right at the very end. I had my 2 needles going through the little corners where I was finishing them up and then shaping them and rounding them off. And as soon as I as soon as I recorded my last episode, as I was editing, I finished the shawl. So you may have already seen it if you follow me on Instagram, because I very excitedly took finished object photos and put them up right away. But let me show you this tremendously gorgeous, beautiful, stunning shawl while I have it here in front of me and completely finished. So the yarns used for this shawl are the Paper Crane Yarns, my hand-dyed yarn company, and it's a fingering weight shawl in 4 different colorways. So again, this was a mystery knit along, and I could not be more pleased with the results. So here we go. It's a rectangular shawl, and I've explained this quite a few times in previous episodes as I've been working on this, but you have your C1 and your C2, your colors 1 and 2, and those sort of pair together, and then you have your C3 and C4, which also pair together. So this was my C1 and C2 here, this gray and blush sort of color. And then my C1 and C2 were this dark purple and this variegated skein. This is my Midnight Ball colorway. And so I loved all of the color work and the contrast in the shawl. And this has also been blocked and the ends are woven in. So I have truly finished objects. It's so drapey and soft and lightweight, with this one being now blocked. And it's very different compared to this one, which I'm kind of burning up in. This is a worsted weight, or maybe even like an Aran weight. This is a pretty heavyweight yarn, and this is fingering weight. So the feeling is these are 2 very different shawls, but equally as gorgeous. So I very much, again, love this shawl, and I think I already have some footage recorded of me wearing this, so I might insert that as well. But I just can't get over how stunning this is. The construction was really fun. That's something I've been into recently, is I want complicated, or I want something more than stockinette. I've just been enjoying all of the highly textured, highly color work featuring patterns. Yes. So hopefully, again, you have that footage. This is where I was the last time I was doing these corners. So this is where the project ended. And this was done over the course of 5 weeks, or that was how many clues you had. I think I finished mine in 6 because the last week I had visitors, and so I couldn't really work on it, but yeah, it's done, and I've already been wearing it. So I'm happy I'm able to show that. So that is As You Wish by Lrical Knits. So here are all of my leftovers from that shawl, and each of these contain some amount of nylon content. This one's an 80-20, and these are these are both 80-20, these are 75-25. So I'm going to probably make some scrappy socks, as one does, with my leftovers, something that'll match my shawl, perhaps. Or I'll save them for a blanket, but I'm not currently working on a scrappy blanket, so I'm not quite sure yet. Probably socks, but we'll see. I haven't really done fully scrappy socks before, so that would probably be fun, especially since it would match my shawl. And then if I had even more leftovers, which I haven't weighed this, but I'm guessing this is around 100 grams. We'll see. I'd probably have enough left to maybe do some baby socks too. So I might do that. A pair of socks for me and a pair of socks for my daughter. So speaking of socks, my next finished object are my Woolens and Nosh socks. This is the Sushi colorway, and the contrast is one of my hand-dyed yarns that I thought went pretty well with this sock yarn. So I also got this from Indie Untangled, so I'm really working through my Rhinebeck purchases. I have 3 more skeins of the same yarn, and I'm going to make it's called Silverleaf. It's a shawl, and I can't think of the designer, but that is my plan for that very special yarn. So after that, I will have worked through all of my Rhinebeck purchases, which is great since I'm going to Maryland Sheep and Wool, and now it won't be all accumulating. And I feel like I'm actually working at a decent pace through my yarn, which at the rate I've been knitting recently, that's not hard. I have been knitting a lot, and I also knit really fast. So I probably should even slow down if I want to preserve the yarn that I do have. But anyway, so these are the socks that I finished, and they are about, these are like calf-high socks. So these are longer socks than I've ever really knit before. And again, I'll try to insert some footage of what they look like on. The first sock, I want to say was this one. And I was complaining in previous episodes that the leg was really quite large. And I was worried that maybe it was the yarn blend, because this is, I think, 90% Targhee and 10% nylon. She has a kind of unique blend for her sock base, and I love it. The texture is great, and they're extremely warm and very like cushioned. But I was thinking, because I was using my 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circular needles, which I use for all of my socks, I was kind of thinking that this yarn must just have a larger gauge. But when I knit my second sock, it fits a lot closer, and I realized I was knitting pretty loose with my first sock. So I'm gonna say that the issue lies with me, and I was worried that they would be so different that I would have to re-knit the first one to get it to be tighter. Let's see. Yeah, you can definitely see how much bigger one is than the other. Or can you? It was me. I could have definitely knit the first one tighter, and I wish I would have, but all said and done, when I wear these, the difference is not that striking. It's not enough for me to rip it out and do it again. So I'm happy to call these completely done. I can't block them. I don't normally block vanilla socks anyway, but that is kind of the only downside, is they really are sort of too big for my Knit Picks sock blockers. But they don't really need it, because again, they go up on my calf, and so when I do wear them, the whole sock is really stretching. You get what I'm saying here. But I love the fun color. I got to take a walk through one of our botanical gardens in Birmingham, or in Hoover, and it's called the Aldridge Gardens. Those ones are gorgeous. They had a lot of stunning azaleas, so it was nice to walk around those gardens and work on the second sock. And yeah, so I'm really happy to have these socks done, and now I can pick up the other socks that I was working on that I took off the needles to do this one, which were again a vanilla sock, but they are my Lazy Linen by Kremke wool. It's a yarn base that I carry in my shop, and they have, I want to say, 85% wool and 15% linen, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So I will be quickly knitting through those socks, especially being in the car driving to Maryland. I'm sure I will get quite a bit of knitting done, and maybe next time I will have a full pair of socks. So just to show you the leftovers from those socks, I do have, this is the self-striping, the Sushi colorway by Woolens and Nosh, and this was my contrast, which was originally from my Nights Who Say Knit mystery knit along shawl, the 2021 MKAL by Lrical Knits. And so I still have plenty of this to go through and probably make more scrappy socks. But I think this is definitely enough to make another little baby pair for my daughter who's coming in July. So I'm going to make her a tiny pair of self-striped socks in this yarn, and I'm very excited. So that'll be another quick project, and I can't wait for that. And I was holding those in one of my project bags. This is a Paper Crane Yarns zipper pouch. This is a great little size for socks. So that's where the sock was living. And speaking of my daughter to come, yesterday I cast on a little sweater for her, and this will be my first sweater I've made for my baby. And this is a new pattern by Espace Tricot. It is the Go Get 'Em Tiger pattern, and it's just a cute little striped, a very simple sweater pattern. And what's special about this is the yarn that I'm using. So I'll show you where I'm at. I did all of this yesterday. I was kind of manic, I guess, with getting this done. And this is the 3 to 6 month size, which is the smallest size of the pattern. By the time my baby is born, in the 3 to 6 month range, it will be cold outside. So I thought that would be a good size to go ahead and make her. So it's a DK weight pattern, and the yarn I'm using is part of my first ever batch of hand-dyed yarn before I started my company. This was the wool that my husband bought me as a gift with my initial set of dyes to just play around with, and so I dyed these in my kitchen, and again, it was like the first yarn I'd ever dyed. So to me, it's kind of special since it was a gift from my husband, and it was sort of the start of this journey, and now this is like the start of a new one. So I thought it was kind of poetic to use the stash yarn for the sweater for her, and it also happened to be DK weight, and I don't have a lot of DK, so yeah, I love working with this. This is a really nice yarn base. I would like to get back in touch with this supplier. Yes, it's very springy and soft, and I'm enjoying it very much. So I did, if you remember in a previous episode, I made the Seldotna Crop by Caitlin Hunter, and I used this colorway as one of my colors, and I used not a variegated pink, but just a light pink as another color, and I think I used a hot pink as well. So this was the variegated pink that I had made and not yet used, so I wound this up. I was working with the scrap from the teal one that I used for my Seldotna, but I got down to just very, very little when I was finishing up this sleeve, so I will have to go ahead and wind this other skein just to finish the sleeve and call that a day. But it is so cute. It's really cute. I can't get over. I don't know if normally I would have picked these colors had I not had these in stash, but I think for my little baby girl, it will be cute. So again, I did the Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off for as often as I use that. I should remember what it's called. I'm gonna go with that. But I did that for the cuff, and I like the extra stretch it gives because ideally she'll get to wear this from 3 to 6 months. So here's hoping it will grow sort of with her, or it'll fit her as needed during that time frame. But yeah, I love this so much. I just can't get over how cute and tiny this is. And it makes it feel even more real that she will be here in just a few months. I do plan on knitting some more of these since this was a very easy pattern, and you could omit the stripes pretty easily if you just wanted to follow, if you need like a basic baby sweater pattern, and it goes up to a couple of years old, so you could use it for an older child too. But the only thing is, I'm not quite sure what happened here when I was doing my short row shaping. It's probably because I was on magic loop to start off with. I got this little hole, so I will need to sew that up, but that's really the only complaint that I have, and that was a user error. So there's my tiny little baby sweater. And I do have one more pretty substantial work in progress that I left the house this morning without. I don't know how. So when my husband comes by later to help me here at the store, I'm going to ask him to bring it so I can record some footage to show you. I really can't believe I forgot it because it's like the most special project I'm working on. So the project, I'll just tell you a little bit about it and then hopefully insert some footage following me talking about it so you can see. I really can't believe that I forgot it. But it is the Calville shawl, which was designed by Gabriella of Merryweather Knitting, and I've made a lot of really good progress. So I have been knitting it up rather quickly. This is another DK weight project, so it does knit sort of quickly, and her pattern is so well written. You've got to go check it out. It's beautiful, and she really tells such a story with the way that she writes patterns. It's a tremendous process, and I just have loved every single second of working with it, in part due to the yarn that she used for her version, and so I used for mine as well. And it is the Juniper Moon Farm Harriet. This is a 100% baby alpaca. It's pure extra fine baby alpaca, and it is the softest yarn you will ever feel. It's wonderful. So I love this yarn so much. And I want to say this is the Orange Heather colorway. It's 1015. I think that translates to the Orange Heather, but I love this very much, and this is the only skein I haven't wound up yet. So I'm on my second skein right now. There's 3 total, and yes, hopefully I've inserted some good footage so you can see, and if not this time, then next episode I might even have it done, so you'll have lots to see. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to Gabriella for designing such a gorgeous pattern and publishing it and allowing others to also knit it, because it is truly stunning. And the texture, so it starts with a moss stitch, and the texture of the moss stitch, especially in combination with the softness of this alpaca wool, it is so incredible. I can't describe it very well. It's really wonderful. I highly recommend that you knit this pattern and perhaps consider working with this yarn to do so, because I think she did such a great job in telling a story between the yarn and the pattern, and they go so well together. It's truly wonderful. I don't know what else to say. It gets me very excited again for fall, even though I'm so thankful spring is here, mostly due to my color choice, but also just the concepts that she puts forth with the design in terms of visually and her storytelling. I absolutely resonate with what she is going for, so she's absolutely achieved that creative vision in my opinion. So anyway, check out that shawl, and I can't wait to show you mine when it's all done. So it's many hours later since I recorded this podcast, and my husband has thankfully brought me my project, my Calville shawl, and so I'm inserting this footage and recording it after the fact, but I couldn't not show you this gorgeous shawl in this video. So this is in my Labyrinth bag by Lila Styles. It's out of focus. There you go. And again, you've probably already been listening to me talk about this. I haven't edited yet, so I'm not quite sure how this will all go together. But this is the Juniper Moon Farm Harriet, the 100% baby alpaca. And this is my colorway 1015. And here is the progress that I have made. So this is the second cake that I'm on here, my second skein out of 3. And just, it's so beautiful. I wish you could feel this. Just like with this yarn, I was saying in my last episode, I think, how badly I wish you could reach in and feel this yarn. And I really desperately wish you could feel this yarn. You've got to get your hands on a skein of this, especially for this project. But here is my progress. I'm in the middle of a repeat section for this lattice portion here. But so here's the cast on edge. And this whole section is in moss stitch. So the texture is incredible. I love how beautiful this stitch is. I think this does so much more justice to her design and the theory behind the pattern and the creation of the design. This like very cobblestone sort of effect. It's just gorgeous, and yeah, I'm very happy with the way that this portion knit up. It's gorgeous. And then you do, be careful not to let my little stitches come off. And then there is a Vickle braid here to separate out the sections. And then we're in this lattice portion here, and this is gorgeous and very fun to knit. But yes, I love the center spine and the way that these points are meeting up where the sections change in combination with this highly linear, geometric lattice section. I just think that this is absolutely gorgeous. The fact that this was, I think, her first published pattern is so mind-blowing to me, because this takes so much skill and effort for her to be able to put together such a finished pattern. I am thoroughly impressed. She makes me want to design patterns, although I have no idea where I would even start. But beautiful job, Gabriella, if you're watching. You've done such wonderful, you've just done such a wonderful job with this pattern, and I'm excited to work on this tomorrow when I go to a yarn event for a local fiber guild. They're hosting like a picnic. It's their first time meeting in person after 2 years of COVID, And yeah, I've never met these people before, but I'm excited to have been invited to come out, and yeah, this will be my project for that picnic. And actually I think this is very suited for a picnic. So that is my Calville. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about today, I am making this a smaller, I can't talk today. It's pregnancy brain. I am making this a shorter episode because I will hopefully have so much to show you next time in terms of projects and footage from the Great Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair and maybe even the Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'm not sure what my timeline will look like, because basically when I get home from the Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair, it's only 2 weeks after that I turn around and drive to Maryland for a weekend. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll have another video out before and make Maryland a whole separate video. But anyway, I'm keeping this episode kind of short with hopefully some extra footage at the end. I did make one purchase, and it's not for what you think it is. So this is the Pearl Soho, their linen quill yarn. This is the Pale Mushroom colorway, and I know you've seen this 1,000 times at this point. I am not making a half and half triangle wrap. I am making the Reagan Cardigan by Isabel Kramer. So a much different project, but I already love this yarn very much. I had never seen this in person until I got it in the other day, and I can't wait to turn this into a cardigan, especially this pattern, which you should find linked below with everything else I've talked about. I really wanted to go with like a beautiful, maybe a deep green color or something kind of fun, but I decided to go with this pale sort of oat and gray color to make it a bit more versatile. And when I was looking at the project pages on Ravelry for the Reagan cardigan, I did see a few people knit a similar colorway, and I loved the way theirs looked because it is a very lacy cardigan. I thought it was very complimentary for the pattern, so I will be using this, and I'm very excited. I might go ahead and cast this on today if I'm not too busy. We'll see. But this is a 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen. So it does have those beautiful linen fibers sticking out, and you know, it's not nearly as soft as the purely alpaca yarn I just showed you, but it does have a softness to it, especially despite the Highland wool and the linen content. So I'm very excited to work with this beautiful yarn. And the pattern, I'm excited for the pattern. It looks the construction is going to be a bit more complicated, and the whole pattern I think was going to require a lot of thought and mindfulness and paying attention, and really focusing a lot of my attention on being successful and doing it correctly. So that's what I've been looking for, and I'm excited to get that started. So now that I've given you the quick rundown of all the projects I've been working on, I am also going to insert some footage of all of the yarn that I've been dyeing. I finalized all of my yarn yesterday for the fiber fair. I dyed my last 10 skeins yesterday, and so now I have a mountain of yarn in mostly brand new colorways to share with you guys. First coming to the Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair, I will be taking everything there and turning off the ability to order from my website for a few days. Starting, I will put the dates below, but starting Wednesday of this coming week and lasting through until Monday or Tuesday, the ordering ability for my website will be turned off while I take everything to the fiber fair, so I don't accidentally oversell something that I don't have stock of. So yep, stay tuned. All of the colorways that I've dyed recently, I am very proud of. I think that they are beautiful, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. I've had people already reach out to me about wanting some of one colorway in particular, and I haven't released the name yet because I'm actually naming it after my daughter, and I haven't told everybody in the family her name yet. So if you come to the Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair and you see what it's called, I guess you'll know what I'm naming my daughter. But anyway, I'll have it on the website pretty soon. I'll make an announcement, and the colorways that I came up with are going to be regulars, so I will be dyeing more in the future, and especially if you're interested, let me know, and I will work on dyeing a quantity for you if you need after the fair. So I hope you enjoy that footage. It really is a mountain of yarn. I also need to try to squeeze in some extra time to finish up some project bags to take. I planned on bringing quite a few with me, and so far I only have 4 complete, plus what I already had in my shop, which is not much, and I have some mostly finished ones, so we'll see. Project bag making, I love it. I think the finished objects are wonderful, but it is not my passion. And especially recently, I think in the state of my pregnancy, it's not very comfortable to sit and sew for a long time, so I don't have as many project bags going with me to this fiber fair as I had hoped. Hopefully next time, and I still do plan on doing a big update pretty soon on my website with project bags, so I will release more details as they become available to me even. So if you are looking for that, I've had a lot of people message me about the Lunar Moth bags that I did and the mushrooms bags that I did, so I'm going to hopefully be making more of those pretty soon. I'm currently out of the fabric, but I do have some other really special ones coming that I haven't shown you yet, so yes, just stay tuned. I will do a big shop update pretty soon, but for now you can find all of this yarn on my website, and that's papercraneyarns.com. I hope you've been enjoying spring as much as I have. My garden is coming into full bloom at this point. I am so thrilled. All of my ranunculus corms have flowered and my snapdragons are opening up. My jasmine plants are getting buds, which we just replanted over another archway in our yard. So I'm very excited for when that is blooming and taking over this archway. But the thing I'm most excited for are my peonies and my roses, and both of which have really big buds that are about to open. So any day now I'm going to have a full array of roses in my garden, and I'm really looking forward to that. I love sitting out there and knitting amongst those roses, and normally I would enjoy like a glass of wine or, you know, yeah, but it's going to be a while before I can do that, so it will be peppermint tea from my garden for all of my garden knitting this spring. So without further ado, here is some bonus footage at the end here. Thank you guys for all of your wonderful feedback on my last episode. I had a lot of people reach out and tell me that it was their favorite, and I felt that way too, and I think because my energy felt really good, like I felt very energized. Recording the additional footage was really fun, and so I'm glad to know that you guys appreciate that. If there's anything else you would like to see in particular, just let me know and I will try my best. So again, enjoy your knitting, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys very soon. See you next time. Bye. This is a mountain of yarn. These are all yarns that I dyed specifically to take to the Great Smoky Mountain Fiber Fair. So a lot of these are new colorways. You may be seeing a lot of this one on different bases, and that is because that is my very special new colorway that I love very much, and I'm naming it after my daughter. So this is that colorway on BFL DK, which I love so much. I just think that the depth of shade here is stunning on the BFL. This is on 75/25 merino nylon superwash, and you can see it takes the dye very differently than the BFL. And this is on silk mohair. So again, quite a different look in terms of the skein. And this is on superwash merino worsted, 100% pure. So yeah, you can see the differences, but it's the same exact dye formulas and technique and all. And I just love it. And I love this mountain of yarn. I want to keep all of this in my stash because to me this is the perfect variety of yarns. This was a single skein that I dyed as an experiment, and I wish I would have dyed a bunch of these because look at the depth of shade in this skein. I'm going to have to work on recreating that one. Whew. Lots and lots of yarn that I have to now label and organize into piles. And so I'll show you again when it's kind of more organized. It's just so bright and colorful and cheerful in here today. I mean, it always is, but having this cart yarn, I cannot get over how much this speaks to me. I love the way that it's brightening up this whole room. Here is my yarn cart in better lighting. Oh, I can't get over how much I love this. It looks like spring bouquets, like this is a flower market or something, but it's even more special. And of course, this bin here is my favorite. This is my soon-to-be spoken out loud named yarn after my daughter. I just love it so much. I want to make all of the projects with this colorway. Labeling this amount of yarn is going to take a while, however. So while I'm working on this ribbing, I was going to tell you guys a little bit about some of the experiences I've had the past few days. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. Okay. So yesterday, April 7th, my local newspaper, the Shelby County Reporter, they published an article about me and my store that we did an interview for a few weeks ago. My yarn was all wrapped up. And since then, I've had many people in the community, the local fiber artists, reach out to me from all kinds of groups that I was not aware of because I think because I don't use Facebook, they seem to primarily be on Facebook. And so I wasn't aware of all these local groups of spinners and crocheters, knitters. It's really, really cool to find out how many people are in this area. And so I've had multiple groups reach out to me about joining them for events. And I had a couple of ladies come into my store today who are hosting so they host, I think they said it was twice a month, knit nights at one of our local libraries. And thankfully it's not on Thursdays, so I may be able to find some time occasionally to coordinate and join them. But we were discussing the National Knit in Public Day that takes place in June, and I have had my mind on that too for a little while now because I've been planning on coming up with some kind of small event for the people who mostly come to my knit nights, but just an open invitation to everybody in the area to come and do that. So this group is already kind of planning something, again at the library here. And so I think I'll be joining them with some a door prize or two. And we were discussing doing like a yarn swap and some yarn bombing of like some trees or what have you outside of the library. And they were even saying they might try to get a food truck out. So this might be a nice big fun event. I think we're going to send off the idea as well to the Shelby County Reporter who published my article and see if they want to publicize the event. So I think that would be a lot of fun. And if you just so happen to want to come out to that, if you are in the area or close by, if you're in the state or just somewhere in the South and you are looking for something to do on that day and some people to hang out with and just kind of to socialize and yeah, have a bit of a knitting party, then you should consider coming out. I will have more details out as they become available to me, but I want to say Worldwide Knit in Public Day is Saturday, June 11th. So that's the day that we would be looking at doing it, and they're going to share the flyer, I think, with me soon, so I will pass that along and hopefully get to see some of you guys. So this would be in the central Alabama area, but again, I'll have more details as they are available, but I think it would be really, really fun. So anyway, I wanted to pass that along because you never know. I am definitely one to drive across state lines for knitting stores and events. So if that's you as well, then this might be a fun opportunity. And who knows, maybe we'll do a bit of like an after party here at my store, or once they wrap up their event, which I think will be from 10 to 2, maybe we'll plan a secondary location. Who knows? All of the possibilities.